A romantic photo of BTS's Suga with a mysterious woman has set the internet ablaze. Captured in an intimate moment at a public art event, the image has sparked global speculation, admiration, and a re-evaluation of the star's public image. Who is she? And what does this soft, elegant gesture from Suga really mean? Dive into the full story as we break down the event, the online reaction, and the potential long-term impact. It doesn't take an earthquake or an album drop to shake the internet when one name is involved. Suga. This time, the tremor wasn't caused by a musical release or a headline performance, but something far more personal, and for some longtime armies, perhaps too real to process quietly. As a photo surfaced on a calm Seoul morning showing yoongi, known worldwide as Suga, standing surprisingly close, too close by celebrity standards, to an unidentified woman, and rather than a formal or casual pose typical of friendly peers, the image suggested something much deeper. A soft yet unmistakably affectionate gesture, Suga's hand gently resting on the woman's shoulder in a way that felt deliberate and protective, their bodies leaning toward each other as if time paused just for them, and rather than the usual discomfort he displays under the public gaze, a serene smile rested on Suga's face, and in the meticulously curated world of South Korean celebrity, where romance is often hidden behind thick veils of secrecy, the candid honesty of this image felt like a breeze slipping through a tightly closed window, offering a glimpse into a side of Suga rarely, if ever, exposed to the world, and within minutes of its release by a Japanese lifestyle magazine covering a contemporary art event in Gangnam, the phrase Suga dating began trending in Japanese Twitter feeds before spreading to Korean platforms, TikTok, and YouTube like wildfire on dry grass, and as fans across continents held their breath or screamed in support, media outlets kicked into high gear, retracing the moment. From the known location of the image, an art exhibition Suga was attending as a VIP guest, to the way his hand was placed, described by several observers as subtle yet emotionally explicit. And from just the partial profile of the woman, strong jawline, neatly styled dark brown hair, an understated neutral-tone dress that screamed effortless elegance, speculation soared, from entertainment figures to art world colleagues. And while no statement came from Suga's camp, neither did denial, with HYB opting for a well-calculated silence that let the public assemble its own puzzle. And amid this ambiguity, one fact stood solid. The pose exists, captured clearly and impossible to misread as a simple colleague photo. Because the way Suga tilted his head slightly toward her and the calm sincerity in his expression spoke louder than any press release could, and soon the discussion evolved beyond mere curiosity into a broader cultural moment. One dissected not just by army forums, but also by television analysts breaking down celebrity body language, and slowly, the image transcended gossip to become a pop culture event, one touching fans hungry for real-life romance, analysts intrigued by the emotional maturity displayed, and fashion influencers who dissected the pair's outfits with surgical precision, from Suga's linen blazer to her minimalist accessories. And if the initial frenzy centered around identifying the woman, the conversation gradually shifted toward the meaning of the photo and its implications for Suga's carefully curated public image as an introverted, mysterious creative force. And in that light, many began to wonder whether this was the quiet unveiling of a personal chapter too long hidden, perhaps even a natural progression for someone known for pouring unfiltered emotion into his lyrics but rarely into the public sphere. And so in the hush of that captured moment, where the light touched his features softly and her body language responded with equal ease, the world saw something many had hoped for but few dared to expect. Suga possibly in love, not in song, not in metaphor, but in real time, visible, present, and unafraid. When a single image can ignite an expanding ripple of opinion across the digital ocean, we're no longer talking about celebrity gossip. We're witnessing a social shift, and Suga seems to have landed squarely in the eye of this phenomenon, because ever since his photo with the unidentified woman became public property, online discourse has grown in both complexity and reach, evolving beyond who is she into something broader. A global discussion about emotional maturity, masculinity, and the soft defiance of public figures who choose authenticity over perfect control. And while the agency continues its tactful silence, entertainment media are now busy analyzing the strategic implications of this moment on Suga's career trajectory, including the possibility of a rebranding from the enigmatic genius to a warmer, more relatable cultural figure, and what's fascinating is the diversity of ARMY reactions worldwide, revealing a fanbase maturing alongside its idols. Many expressing unfiltered support through posts like, "As long as he's happy, we're happy," or "Finally." Suga lives the lyrics he writes, while a smaller segment raises cautious questions about timing or motive, especially given Suga's recent return from mandatory military service, which often marks a turning point in the personal lives of male Korean artists. And in this sea of interpretation, stylists and social media analysts have joined the fray, dissecting everything from Suga's longer-than-usual hair to his relaxed cream blazer and vintage leather shoes, pointing out that this was no ordinary look but one curated to suggest a version of himself unguarded, post-idol, quietly romantic, and perhaps just human. And lifestyle columns have begun to speculate that if this moment is indeed Suga's unofficial relationship reveal, it might be among the most tasteful and graceful we've seen, with no press conferences, no lengthy Weverse essays. Just a single moment left to speak for itself through body language and atmosphere, and that may explain why the image has lingered in public consciousness longer than usual, because there's beauty in ambiguity, in a gesture that's both deliberate and open to interpretation. And while international fans create fan art and thread theories, Japanese and French media have reframed the moment as part of a broader cultural evolution, positioning Suga as a face of soft masculinity, redefining how Asian men are seen in global media. And looking ahead, many predict that regardless of whether this image signifies a committed relationship or simply a one-time display of affection, it opens new doors for Suga to explore more personal themes in his art, both as a soloist and producer, because when the line between public and private shifts as gracefully as this, the resulting narrative becomes richer and more layered. And if there's a single takeaway from all this, perhaps it's that even in a hyper-scrutinized world, someone can still choose to show love in the simplest, most elegant way, without announcement, without grand gestures, just a pose, a touch, and a smile that leaves the world wondering, admiring, and perhaps a little more respectful of the man behind the music. And as the momentum refuses to wane, the image that once seemed like a passing curiosity has embedded itself into the ongoing cultural conversation surrounding not only Suga but the expectations placed on male idols navigating fame, art, and emotional vulnerability in public view. And in this evolving climate where even the smallest actions are dissected frame by frame, the restraint shown by both Suga and his agency has only amplified the weight of what wasn't said, making silence itself a form of narrative control, a calculated absence that ironically invites deeper presence in media and fan consciousness. And now, weeks after the image first emerged, the moment continues to inspire a steady stream of editorial commentary, think pieces, fashion breakdowns, and even academic perspectives from gender studies experts who have begun to cite the photo as a case study in modern expressions of intimacy in high-profile East Asian figures, a topic rarely addressed without heavy cultural barriers. And while the core image remains unchanged, its impact has continued to ripple outward, giving rise to subtle shifts in how idols and fans engage with the idea of public romance, with some fans noting that Suga's graceful handling of the situation sets a precedent for how private life can be acknowledged without being exposed, how romance can exist without becoming performance, and it has even prompted conversations among other fan bases, particularly those of younger male idols, who observe the unfolding of this event as a kind of template, a path that, while unconventional, seems increasingly viable in the evolving K-pop landscape where emotional resonance and authenticity are becoming as valuable as polished choreography and viral content. And through all of this, Suga himself has remained silent, not in a defensive or evasive way, but in a manner that feels confident, even generous, as if allowing others to interpret the moment however they need to, and by doing so, he continues to uphold a brand of quiet influence that has long defined his artistry, letting his choices speak for themselves, resisting over-explanation, trusting that those who truly understand him will feel the truth beneath the surface. And that sense of quiet conviction has not only endeared him further to fans but has also intrigued cultural critics, many of whom now refer to this incident as a rare example of what it looks like when a celebrity controls the narrative by surrendering the microphone, by giving the public just enough without giving too much.